World's greatest hamburgers. I don't know about world's greatest, but they're pretty good. Now hiring smiling faces. I tend to doubt that. Kind of weird the lights are still on. I see this in a lot of abandoned places. The property winterized, water turned off, closed due to maintenance. There we go. We got a 3-day notice to vacate. This was May 24th, 2024, so it's already been quite a while. Closed Christmas and the other 364 days of the year now. How many of you guys ate at Fuddruckers back in the day? I mean, they're still around. I know they're still in business. There's just not nearly as many of them. Hey, Rolling Thunder. You can't hear it because I got a microphone on, but there's always some kind of rolling garbage can or some super loud noise off in the distance when you're trying to record. I don't even really get mad at it anymore. It's just kind of funny. Ah, there we go. That's what we're looking for. You hear that on the microphone? Rumble, 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 rumble. Always. All right, let's take a look inside. See, this is how you know you're up by Arrowhead and you're not like 19th Ave and Bethany and Phoenix, because A, there's nobody living back here or dead back here, and B, there's hardly any trash. So yeah, definitely a cleaner part of the valley up here by Arrowhead. Like I said, if this was down in Phoenix, this would be like, you know, inhabited by about 40 homeless people. Come on in and get a burger. Looks pretty nice inside still. Give you a good look inside there. Still got some fresh lettuce in there. Look at that, guys. Looks like they had an A from the health inspector. That's good. Yeah, Fuddruckers. Only went a handful of times to the one near Metro Center. At like the I-17 in Peoria, I believe. Pretty good, you know? Nothing like out of this world or anything, but good. You know, they had good burgers. I know they had a Beatles booth in the one by Metro Center where it was all filled with Beatles pictures, and allegedly one of the Beatles had eaten there at one point, but I think it was Ringo. Maybe that was the waiter just bullshitting us though. There's the signage. Pretty nice. All right, if you guys want to come explore this one yourself, it's right across from the fabulous Arrowhead Mall. Arrowhead Mall here in Glendale, Arizona. There is something kind of haunting about this. I'm not quite sure what it is. I think because it's getting dark and the lights are still on inside. You're expecting people to be in there working and eating, but they're not. I wish all the abandoned places left the lights on. And I wish they were this well preserved. Who is that? It looks like Pink Floyd. It looks like Roger Waters and David Gilmour on the top right. Yeah, I think that's Pink Floyd. You got the Stones up there, definitely. The Stones logo and somebody coming down from some stairs. Can't tell who it is. And of course you got a porta potty. Very nice. Fresh ground beef. Now this sign up here is actually still lit up. Fuddruckers. World's greatest It's a real nice shot right at sunset. Beautiful. And if you want a good burger, you got Freddy's. Steak burgers right over there. Can't focus for shit, but yeah, there you go, Freddy's. Really good stuff. Now if you can't get into the abandoned Fuddruckers and you really want a burger, Freddy's Steak and Burger is really, really good, or Freddy's Steak Burger. And then Portillo's right around the corner. I can actually see it right behind the hotel over there. Portillo's Chicago-style hot dogs and hamburgers. Absolutely amazing. They also have really good chocolate cake shakes, which I highly recommend. And it is called Portillo's, not Portillo's. It's Portillo's. Very good. How'd you like that abandoned Fuddruckers? That was pretty cool, right? So what I wanted to do today was kind of mix the best of both worlds. I wanted to mix an abandoned place with a rant video, trying something different. Worlds are colliding. So I want to talk about how not everything is AI. This is something I've had in my notes for a long time that I've wanted to talk about. And it's something that I see all the time, especially on Instagram. I see videos of pretty innocuous things, and anytime people don't understand it or haven't seen it before, they immediately jump to, oh, it's probably AI. Must be AI. Haven't seen it before. Must be AI. This is the dumbest shit, and we're only going to see more of it, and it's only going to get worse. So what do I mean by this? Well, recently I saw a video of Kurt Cobain, an interview with Kurt Cobain, talking about how the Beatles were a big influence on him growing up as a musician. And one of the first comments was like, this can't possibly be real. This must be AI. I'd seen this interview a few years ago. It's a real interview. A bunch of the comments were saying the same thing. But people are so stupid. Maybe that's not the best example, but people are so stupid. Anytime they see something that they haven't seen before, or that they question just a little bit, they immediately jump to, oh, it must be AI. Kurt couldn't possibly have liked the Beatles. That's impossible. Must be AI. Like I said, maybe not the best example, so let's not focus on that one too much. But you're gonna see this shit a lot. I see this comment a lot. And whether it's real, whether it's bots, whatever, the real ones scare me. The people who really can't tell the difference on certain things, that scares the shit out of me. And it's only going to get worse as AI develops more and more and more and gets more and more believable. It's going to be hard to differentiate between what's real and what's altered by AI. Now, one of the good things is if you look on Instagram and I believe on YouTube, it'll say, this has been altered by AI. It'll have like a little disclaimer, right? Saying that this video was generated by AI or has AI enhanced elements. That's a start, you know? That's a step in the right direction, definitely. But I think as time goes on, there's going to be ways that they can get around that and they can circumnavigate that flag that pops up, that disclaimer, and it's going to be harder and harder to tell what's real and what's fake. Now, there are a lot of people now who are just dumbasses who can't tell the difference between an interview that was shot in the 90s and something that's enhanced by AI. Those people are just a special type of stupid. But I think as time goes on, that's going to apply to a lot more people because it's going to be truly harder to tell what's real and what's AI generated. That's scary. That's scary when it comes to the news. That's scary when it comes to politics. That's scary when it comes to wars and foreign relations. That kind of shit, slippery slope. Slippery slope. And who knows how long this technology has been available, right? It became available to the public around, what, 2021, 2022, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, OpenAI and of course ChatGPT and all that good stuff became accessible to the public. But how long has the government had access to that? Makes you wonder. But it's just scary. And as time goes on, it's going to get harder and harder to tell what's real and what's not. That's not going away. So question everything. That's basically what I'm saying. As we head into the future, question everything, because things have been tampered with. As time goes on, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So question everything. Be open-minded, but question everything. So that leads me to my next point. As time goes on and AI advancements continue to progress, I think physical media and things that predate AI from before the 2020s are going to be super, super important and way more valuable. History books, videos, documentaries, physical media, novels, factual novels that predate AI are going to be coveted. They're going to be like this really important historical documentation of things as they were before AI was able to tamper with things. So I think those are going to be kind of almost underestimated right now. People are going to say, oh, old history books, stuff like that, who cares? Who needs them? 20 years from now, they're going to be locked up in vaults and they're going to be super precious. Because people say, wow, we know for a fact, okay, this was printed in 2008. There's no way anyone messed with it. It's been locked up, it's been secured, And I think as time goes on, people are going to have harder and harder time distinguishing the difference between what's real and what's altered. There's going to be a lot of distrust, definitely, especially when it comes to the news, especially when it comes to politics, even more so than the problems we already have today. And I think when it comes to history, people are going to be looking back on history and say, oh, that's bullshit. How do we know what's altered by AI? How do we know what's true? I mean, look at how dumb people are currently, right? People are stupid as shit, generally. Imagine another 20 years. Imagine another 30 years of brain rot. Imagine the new generations coming up. They're going to be pretty freaking stupid. There's always exceptions. But as a general rule of thumb, people are pretty dumb and pretty naive. They'll believe a lot of bullshit. So I think as AI advances, it's going to be more and more tricky to sift through everything and find the truth, especially when it comes to history. So physical media is going to be very, very, very important. You're going to have vaults of old History Channel Blu-rays and DVDs and archival footage and books just locked up with people saying, hey, these were not fucked with. These were not tampered with. That's going to be something for sure. Mark my words. This is another thing I've touched on a few times in a couple different videos and podcasts, but I'm going to talk about it again because I think this is in a very appropriate place to talk about it and a perfect video for it. So I think you're going to see a lot of people in the future who are kind of like the Amish, but who kind of push away from modern technology. And I think this will be more so in the next 10 to 20 years. You're going to have a lot of people who are kind of purists, especially when it comes to film, when it comes to books, and they're going to say, hey, this film was made entirely by real people. No AI was used in the screenplay or the acting or the directing or the cinematography or anything. Everything was done by real people. And to a lot of these people who are like retro activists, they're going to take a lot of pride in that. And they're going to reject the modern advances in technology and AI especially. And they're going to say, hey, we don't want that. We don't want to be a part of that. And I think that's going to be a big movement. And I think it's going to go both ways. I think you're going to have, this is just my prediction, I think you're going to have people who love it and embrace it, and they're going to be kind of the general audience, right? The people who go in, they're not really picky about art. Your typical MCU fan who's just kind of like, just entertain me, That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But those type of consumers where it's just kind of like, cool, let's watch the new AI movie with actors who are completely invented, right? You're going to have these celebrities who are not real people. That's already happening, but you're going to see that more and more and more with actual celebrities who are not real people. And you're going to have a lot of the general public who just accept that. They're going to say, yeah, that's cool. I like Roy AI Man. He's great. He's awesome. He's cool. He's my favorite actor. And they're going to be popular. They're going to have a fan base. You're going to have movies that are entirely done by AI. You're going to have television shows entirely done by AI. And a lot of people are going to eat it up. And the studios are going to freaking love it because it's going to be cheap for them. That's the big thing. All they care about is money, right? So you're going to see a lot less movies with a lot less real people being involved, and you're going to see AI slowly become the mainstream, right? But then eventually there's going to be fatigue, right? You're going to have some people that get fatigued by it, and there's still going to be real filmmakers and real actors. I don't think that's ever going to go away in our lifetime. But they're going to have to coexist, right? Then you're going to have other people who are kind of into it, kind of 50-50, kind of like when CGI was just blossoming, where like a little bit's okay, you know? You're going to have the millennials and the Gen Xers, and maybe even some of the boomers, and of course Gen Z, who are going to say, you know what? There's a lot of nostalgia to be cashed in on here. So you're going to have a lot of dead actors coming back. And like, oh, cool, Heath Ledger in a new movie, awesome. Oh, cool, James Gandolfini, awesome. Oh, Chris Farley, yeah, I'd go see that. Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to look good. It's not going to be them, but it's going to be an interesting experiment. And I'm not saying that I necessarily want all that, but it's coming. It's going to happen, for sure. For sure. And some of it's going to be cool. Some of it's going to be scary and shitty and devoid of personality. But some of it is going to be good and convincing. And there's going to be other stuff too that I think is kind of neat, but it's all going to pull from real people. I think you're going to see, you know, you're already seeing it on YouTube and stuff, people playing around making Nirvana songs, right? With Kurt's voice. And some of them sound pretty good. Sure, it's not the real thing. It's not Kurt, but it's pretty good. They do that with the Beatles. They do that with Hendrix. They do that with whoever. Jim Morrison. Dead artists. That's going to be the big thing. That's going to be what sways a lot of people once they can do that convincingly. Once they can bring back dead actors, dead actresses, dead musicians, and make it sound pretty good, and make it look pretty real, that's going to be a moneymaker. Some people are going to eat that up. And if it's done well, I am kind of curious about that. I'm open to it, definitely, if it's done well. If it's done well. Third option, like I said, is going to be the people who completely pull away from that and completely reject it entirely. Say, no, it's disrespectful to the musicians, that's disrespectful to the actors and their families. Forget that, I don't want any part of that. And you're going to have people who are like, oh, it's crazy, I thought I saw a car, it looked like a DeLorean go by in the parking lot there. 1:15 a.m., Twin Pines Mall. Anyway, where was I lost my train of thought. Shit. Anyway, the third branch of people are going to be the ones who completely reject it, and they say, hey, no AI was used in this production. It was entirely done by people, written, directed, acted, produced by real people. And that's going to be cool too. You're going to have those purists out there. You're going to have those retro enthusiast hipsters, and those people are never going to go away either until Judgment Day, when all the machines take over and Skynet gains consciousness, which is not too far away either. So I think you're going to have those three sects of people. I think that's just going to be a thing. And I do think there are going to be a lot of people, just not even in the arts, but people in general, who do push away from technology. I think, and this will be a ways down the road, but maybe in another 30 years or so, you'll have people living off the grid in communities that are like analog, where they reject the internet, they reject AI, they reject the overload of modern technology, and they pull away and they live like, you know, as if it's the 90s. I could definitely see that happening, definitely. Analog retro activists, I think that'll be a thing. I think that'll be a thing. So my point is, when it does come to the nostalgia-driven stuff with AI enhancements, it's always going to pull from real people. It's always going to rely on nostalgia for dead actors, for dead musicians. You know, if it's a fully AI-generated film with new made-up actors and a new story, yeah, some people watch it, absolutely. But the ones that are going to make the most money are going to be, oh, this AI is the closest thing you're going to get to a screenplay written by Alfred Hitchcock, directed by Quentin Tarantino, you know, let's say after he's deceased in the distant future, and starring, you know, Heath Ledger and Humphrey Bogart. People are going to be like, oh yeah, let's go watch that, let's check that out. But it's always going to pull from reality. It's always going to pull from real people and real creative types. And that's where the money's going to be, is in nostalgia, definitely. Mark my words. Not saying it's right, but it's coming, for sure. I've been rambling a lot, but I hope you guys get what I'm talking about. I hope you catch my drift, definitely. And I'm not completely against AI. I do think it has its place. But just like anything, I think it's going to be abused. I think it's going to be overused. It's going to be something that just goes off the rails like everything else. You're going to have too much of it. It's going to screw things up, definitely. I do think there are some benefits, though, for sure. I'm not completely saying, oh, it's all bad, you know. There's benefits, for sure. There are benefits, and it is pretty cool in small doses, for sure, for sure. But just like anything, they're going to do it to death, and it's going to get out of hand, and it's going to have a downside for sure. But there's also good parts too that I think we'll be able to enjoy. We'll be able to enjoy the decline for a little bit, I think. And like I said, there will be some cool stuff. It will be cool to hear albums by dead musicians. It will be cool to continue to see some of these actors come back in this weird AI form. But not too much. Not too much, because like I said, even then it's murky. It's murky territory. So I think personally, as a film enthusiast and as a music connoisseur, I'm always going to prefer the real thing. I'm sure you guys are like that too. I think a lot of our audience is pretty like-minded here. So the real deal is always going to be vastly superior. And like I said, it's always going to pull from real people. But do I hate it? Some of it. But is it here to stay? Absolutely. So we should accept it and enjoy parts of it, but it's going to fly off the rails and be shitty ultimately, I think. But the only thing I can think of long term that'll really help everybody is going to be a hard reset, a hard factory reset. I think ultimately, as much as I love this type of stuff, I think the internet and AI going down, at least temporarily, would be really good for humans in general. I think social media, especially going away, would be really good. If the internet just died, I think obviously it would be catastrophic at first. I think it would screw up the economies of the world. I think there would be a lot of issues. It would be horrific the first few months. But as time goes on, if there was a hard factory reset like that with no internet, no AI usage, no social media, I think ultimately it would be good for people. And I mean that. At first, yes, it would be catastrophic because we're so reliant on it as a society. Things would crash pretty hard, but we'd come back. We'd come back with a new perspective. And I think after the dust settled, a lot of people would be really happy if the internet and AI just went away. If we had some time to kind of chill in the darkness a little bit, chill without all the distractions. I think ultimately for people that would be the best thing, definitely. Even if it were just temporary, if it were just for a few months or a couple years, I think that would be really good. That would be really good for people. And it could happen. You never know. Probably not, but it could happen. Definitely not ruling it out. Big cyber attack takes everything down. That might be best for humans, you know? But anyway, enough of my ranting, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the look at Fuddruckers. I hope you enjoyed me talking out my ass about AI and about the dangers and the arts, the benefits, all that good stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Remain unfazed. Let me know what you think about all this down below. Thanks for watching. Skynet's taking over.
Hello, I am cleaning the floor. Thank you for shopping at Fuddruckers.
It's already begun.